Hi, everyone, and welcome to Afternoon Equality. My name is Christy, and today I'm talking to Ronak Panahi, who is a authenticity and pleasure coach. She has an entire program based around good girl conditioning and the bad girl mentality, and it's going to be really interesting, especially as I myself am going on this journey of kind of unlearning and relearning what it means to be a woman in the world that we are now. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get right into it. And we're going. Hi.
Hi. Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so glad we got to work this out because you're in Chicago, correct?
I'm in Springfield, Illinois. It's 3 hours
Spring.
south of Chicago, but yes.
Okay, okay. You're not in LA with
Yes,
me.
exactly. I'm so happy
Okay.
we got to get it working.
Yeah. Do you want to just give like a short introduction, who you are, what you do, and yeah, we can get going.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, hi to all your beautiful listeners, watchers, whatever. I'm Ronak. I am a sex, love, and relationship coach. I call myself mostly an authenticity and good girl deconditioning coach. And I bring everything in pleasure, so it's a kind of like an authenticity and good girl deconditioning and bringing your bad girl out in the most pleasurable way. And yeah, I'm from Iran. I have been studying with Layla Martin for a year in 2020. And I have gone through ups and downs and here's and there, and we are gonna talk about obviously, but just to give you a little bit of background, I'm also a dancer. So I dance West Coast Swing. I mean, before the pandemic, obviously, I used to nationally travel and compete. So that's another part of me that I'm gonna go deeper into a little bit. And also, I have like different like sides that I kind of want to bring into my work. I'm also a software developer, so that's kind of my, engineering side that comes in when I'm like coaching my clients. Like I work with them and I'm like, ooh, like, that engineering brain kind of comes out a lot. And yeah, to kind of like wrap all of this out, I feel like um, I my friends call me call me the headmistress of Turn On, because right now everything comes from Turn On, everything comes from pleasure. So yes, that's a me in a nutshell. We're gonna go deeper into it, but that's me
I
in a
love That's
nutshell.
perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so then like I guess just to get us going, because you mentioned like good girl and bad girl, like what exactly are those two things, and how do you like what does that mean for you and your coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like the good girl, bad girl thing kind of like came to me this year, and it was kind of like it was a bat in my head that was like, hey, you need to work on this. And I was like, okay, here we go. But um, I want to start with Good Girl, and I kind of want to get a little bit deeper into why I started, deconditioning these out of myself.
Yeah, perfect.
So, um, you know, I want your listeners, and even like you as you're sitting here, kind of just go think a little bit about the times that these conditionings kind of like just like come to you and you're like, how the hell did this just like show up? We live in a world of patriarchy, and of course, as we are, growing older, we learn things by listening to the society, the families, the lot of time the religion and all of these things, and we just like take things on. And I feel like as I coach women, so humans who have the um, lived experience of being a female in this world. And all of us, in a sense, we look like this onion that, like, we have like these layers and layers of conditioning. And when you kind of get rid of those layers, you get to that really tender, delicious part that is kind of like makes you cry, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And if you think about it, so like good girl conditioning is something that even when you're like 2 years old, like it starts very, very young. Like for me, as I was in Iran, I lived my whole life in Iran. I came to US 5 years ago. So like how they treated humans with penis was different how they treated humans with pussies.
Hmm.
It was always, how, how the boys do, or, how strong they are, how they can beat other people, or, it was always competition for boys around being strong. And for for women, it's always, competition of how you look, right? I mean, the biggest things for men is not being weak, and for biggest thing for women is body image, right? And if you kind of like just like think about this, like how many times have you felt that you're in a fucked up duality that of too much and not enough, like at the fucking same time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No,
You're
I
like,
mean, like
yeah,
even doing this show, like I talked to someone earlier about this too. Like and she's actually a body positivity coach, and I'm going to talk to her later this week. And we talked about how it's strange because like as much as we talk about being confident and being strong and all this stuff, like like I'm doing this and I feel great doing this, but I also feel like I still could lose weight. I still could do this. I live very close to Hollywood
yeah,
where like it's like I'm never actually going to be good enough,
yeah,
or and like I'm never going to be good enough for everyone,
yeah.
which
Well,
sucks.
yeah. it's like it's like that feeling of I'm never gonna be enough, and sorry, and I'm never gonna be like I'm never gonna be enough, but at the same time I'm too much for people, right?
Yes.
So like I'm too loud, I'm too skinny, I'm too fat, or it's just, and we bring all of this and like we create this space, this bubble around ourselves. And this is just, I just want to pause for a second and say that, like, this is not to shame anyone. This is not to, this, I just want to bring this message out because I feel like we need to have so much compassion for ourselves as women or as female identifying humans that um, these layers have been put on us. It was not something that we were like, oh, nice, I'm gonna just take a little bit of people pleasing and a little bit of like not speaking up and a little bit of this and not having healthy boundaries and all of these things. Um, no, it's not you. Just take a deep breath. I feel like the things I'm gonna bring up is gonna kind of like bring things up. So just take a deep breath and feel that you are whole already. I have a kind of like a list of the things that like the good girl kind of like shows up in your life and you don't even know.
Yeah. No,
Have
like
you ever had like I'm just gonna ask you, like, have you ever had like this feeling of, you know, you're just like people pleasing but you don't know and then you kind of like judge yourself for people pleasing?
oh, I do that all the time. I tell like I've told a few people like I'm loyal to a fault. And I will go out of my way to help someone, like even if it like it does nothing for me. Like and I've convinced myself that I find, like how they say like your love languages, and like one of my love languages has been acts of service. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like I'm starting to not believe that anymore because like I can recognize when I'm not like I
Mm-hmm.
can recognize when I'm doing something for someone and it does nothing for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing it because like I am like I've been raised like being like I've always been told I'm good, like I'm the good girl, like I'm the one who like I follow direction, and I
Mhm.
and like, oh, you're so caring and you're so kind and all this, and it's like yeah.
Yes. 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 So that's like the thing that comes up that is like they you like you've been, not you, meaning like all of us have been just like there's so much pressure on us to be a nice girl. Like, how many times have you felt like you're being nice, but you really want to punch them in the face? Like,
Oh
how
yeah.
many times? Oh, great. Yes, exactly. Or how many times you said no when you wanted to say yes, or said yes when you wanted to say no? Like,
Yeah.
especially like the times that I feel like I need like help or I need support, and I said no to it because I wanted to be the super independent human being that, I'm an independent one. I ain't need no man type of a thing.
Yeah.
You know? So, or the other thing is kind of like feeling small or feeling like you're kind of like caged in a sense and you can't speak up for yourself, or you make sure that you don't create any conflict or you don't ruffle feathers and stuff like that, and taking care of everyone else before yourself. Right? And kind of like doubting yourself, being way too careful when you're talking to anyone because you just want to make sure that nobody gets hurt, as in like you are okay with you being hurt, but like not disappointing anyone else. Something that I really talk about a lot is like how you being you, sometime most of the time, is like you are disappointing your parents in a sense. Your most delicious, like highly yourself, and it's kind of disappointing your parents because, like, oh, just an example, like my parents wanted me to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever, but I became a software developer, and now I'm a sex and relationship coach, so I'm pretty much a failure. So it's like, and like being always accommodating, like all of these things, which I'm going to talk about in the good girl archetypes that my nerdy brain self kind of like created for itself.
Yeah.
So that's the good girl side of the things. The part of us that is stuck between the too much and not enough. I'm too much if I'm loud. I'm not enough if I'm quiet. Why
Hmm.
don't you speak up? They say. Or you're
Or
too
like,
loud, and like you're too bright and you're too shiny and all of these things.
yeah, no, there's definitely like it comes, I feel like I've been seeing it a lot in talking about especially like superheroes and stuff where like there's a big criticism of Captain Marvel right now because people think she's arrogant, but it's like, but she was never arrogant, she's just really confident, and that's very threatening to people.
Yeah. And the same confidence, if it's in man, it would be
Yeah,
like, wow, he's a go-getter. Like
exactly.
he is, wow, let him get the shit done. It's like it goes like way back to burning the witches and all of that, those stories that like they were scared of the witches,
Hmm.
and not because of their power. It was not like because of the things that they were doing and their spells and all of these. They were just like scared of the witches. And obviously, I just want to say something that, like, even if you've been in the most liberated family of all time, you still have society, and you have that still in your genes, in your DNA. The reason is 100 years ago, women used to be properties. The best thing we could do was marry a man that is wealthy,
Hmm.
marry wealth, or we were the property. So it's kind of like it's in us, no matter how we want to, how much we want to say like, no, I'm super independent and I don't do, all of that, all of those. It's great, but at the same time, you gotta like really understand it comes up in ways that you can't catch it sometimes, no matter how much you are mindful of it. So the bad girl side is actually the blueprint of you becoming more you. So sometimes when I talk about bad girls, people think like it's like this super fierce that like it's gonna cut your throat, and like she's standing like this, like, Wonder Woman. It might be like that, and she might cut your throat, but it can be like this bad girl is actually this most like tender, like empathetic human being, but she has been fearing being that because she didn't want to be hurt, so she pushed that down, down, down. So it's not out, and she's like acting like, acting and like having this facade of, you know, being being very, that cutthroat thing, being that human, but she is actually not that. So becoming the bad girl is creating this space, creating this space for you to come back home to yourself. And that's, I think, what I'm really trying to um, help spread the word and create a space, safe space in my community, like my Facebook community, the pleasure community, that like, come, let's talk, let's have conversations about what is the conditioning that is coming up for you. How can we create space for the deconditioning to happen? If that makes sense. If you have any questions about that. Yeah.
I love that, and I think you're absolutely right, because like this is something that I talked about in a few other episodes, and also just like it's something that I still talk about like now, is how I myself have been going through this massive like unlearning,
Mm-hmm.
and this massive just like questioning everything of like, is something right because it's right, or is something right because someone has told me it's right?
Yes. Yes.
and and like and that's, and that's something that I've been doing, and I've been called, I've been called entitled for being able to think that way, and it's like maybe I am entitled in a way, like it's privileged being able to think this way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that I also, that in all aspects of my life that have been coming up, like if, with like, me liking Marvel and like nerd stuff, it's been coming up, and it's like in the way that I approach the show, and these conversations, and the way that I approach work, and how I interact during the day versus night, and everything is just like, okay, like, and so like I will pause and I will stop and ask myself, okay, like, does this feel right? And if it doesn't feel right, why is someone telling me that it is? Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then like, are they like, and then what is their motive for telling me it's right even if it doesn't feel right?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And you brought up something really, really key is like, is this actually truly me, or is it something that I've been told and now I feel like it's me?
Yeah.
So I feel like, especially, I'm not saying this is not happening for men, but my work is with women, so that's what I'm going to talk about. I feel like patriarchy brings all of us into a nice little box that like, this is what you do, this is the night, this is how to be nice, this is how to be a woman, this is how to show up in a society, how to be a wife and a mother and all of these things. And it's, I feel like it's crippling in a sense that, and I've been hearing this a lot. I think it's in I feel like, and I heard it in a podcast. I don't remember who it was by, but um like the emotional labor that women go through is intense and insane, of like how much we take care of, even by just like our thoughts, and like just like thinking about every little thing. I mean, as a mom, as a mother, I mean, I've never been a mother, but like I've seen my mom or my grandmother or the moms around me, how they mentally, emotionally, and energetically do things for the humans around them, as the caretaker. So yeah. And I kind of want to go a little bit, if that's okay, into the archetypes.
Yes, please, please. What are the good girl archetypes?
Yes. So
How
I just wanna yes. So I I have been like really going deep into just like humans in the past couple of years, into like why we do the things we do. It's just the science nerd in me. And I've been reading a lot of different books, and I remember I was maybe 12 years old or 13. My mom gave me a book that was Good Women Go to Heaven and Bad Women Go Everywhere. And that was a really, really interesting book. And it was about like, how to find yourself, how to, I'm hoping I can remember the name of the author. But it was just very fascinating that like even even my mom, that at that time she was not as liberated as she is today, but she kind of like was like, hey, find your own way. Anyway, so I, as I was, going through why women do things we do, and like I have always been like putting this facade on of like, I don't need anyone to help me, and I refused any help, to be honest with you. And so there are four different archetypes that I've been really going deep into. And the first archetype is the independent woman. So the independent woman is the overachiever, the overdoer. She does everything alone. She doesn't accept help. And if she does accept help, she kind of regrets it, and she shames herself for needing help. And she wants to do everything perfectly, and she wants to do it on her own and looking smoking hot doing it. Right. And I was that. I was that woman. I I absolutely was like, I'm a solo, like my life's gonna be solo. I'm gonna change the world on my own. I don't need anything. I don't need any help from anyone. I refused help. And what happens with independent women is that she burns out so fast. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, um I actually used to get this at work a lot. I will usually Google something before I ask someone for help. I'm that person.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm laughing not because I'm like, oh, you do that. I'm like, me too. Yeah. Not that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's kind of like, well, why didn't I make my life easier when I know there's a person right here that can
Yeah,
answer my question
yeah,
or give me what I want?
right.
Um, and the second archetype is the sacrificer, the caretaker. And this is kind of like that, a shadow of a mother. Like, she takes care of everyone until she is like her cup is at zero, and she gets she's depressed. She feels like there's everyone around her who need her but don't feed her, and there is just like a, an energy that like, oh, I am always just needed, and there's no one here to take care of me, and there's a resentment that kind of builds up in this archetype. And the third one is the yes girl. So the yes girl is the girl that says yes to everything. Like, she just doesn't want to disappoint anyone. She wants to be as accommodating as possible. And she ends up being, the girl that doesn't have um, boundaries,
Hmm.
you know, about, what you truly desire. Is that truly a yes? Like a yes to everything? Um, I remember like one of my friends was like that, and I've never had the yes girl archetype in me, but my friend was very much a yes girl. Like, she would resent herself for saying no if she wanted to go out, if friends asked her to go out for like a night. And I was like, honey, it's okay. It's fine.
Like, I'm not gonna hate you.
Yeah,
Say
nobody's gonna
no.
hate
Yeah.
you. Yeah, and right now that she has like, been my friend for God knows 5 years, and she's like, yeah, saying no is actually really good. I'm like, yeah, girl. So the fourth and final one is the I don't know girl. And this is also, I call her the wide-eyed girl, which, we open our eyes to get information more, right? She's always looking for answers outside of herself. She always thinks the hero is outside, the shiro is outside. She is looking for help and not help, like, sorry. She's looking for the answers of the questions that is actually inside of her outside.
She's looking for purpose outside.
Yeah, yeah, everything. And this archetype normally like feels empty, like she doesn't have anything to offer, she doesn't have a voice, she feels like she's always being told what to do. um yeah, so do you see yourself in these four?
I mean, for sure, the independent woman, and then the yes girl, actually. And
Yeah.
I've also talked about this before, where I was like, especially in like dating, like
Mm-hmm.
I was always I was so afraid of conflict. I would always just go with whatever my partner wanted to do, or wanted to,
Mm,
like, what he desired, or what his friends wanted to do, and I would be like, oh, okay, like that's fine. And it's
yeah.
like, and it's not always fine.
Yeah.
And I, I'm not in a relationship currently, but I've, especially like this year, and like in all this unlearning that I've been doing, like, and learning about boundaries, and what, not necessarily learning about boundaries, but learning what boundaries mean to me,
Mm-hmm.
and how to implement them has been huge. Because, like, again, saying no to friends, saying no to, like, hey, like, I actually can't really talk right now, or like, and especially like during a pandemic, it felt so strange to say that, because that's all we can do is like FaceTime and talk on the phone. But it's like, there have been moments where I was like, I really cannot talk right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And I'm so proud of you for doing that. Damn.
I'm like, thank you. I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And like, and again, like, and just understanding, like, my friends are like, they're gonna be there still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they actually, they appreciate it more when I draw that boundary with them, and I tell them, like, hey, like, I just can't right now. And then we can talk about it later, because like, if I can't be fully present with them, then what's the point?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
And I feel like we don't, as the yes girl, like we don't think about that part, that like what is um what are we investing in if we
yeah,
don't have anything to invest, you know?
exactly.
So, just to give your listeners and viewers a kind of like blueprint of the bad girl that can be kind of like followed for these archetypes. For the independent woman, if you are the independent woman, I just want to, first of all, just like give a little information here that like you might see all of this in you. You might see all the four archetypes, but one of them is normally very, very, like, very much like up there. For me, it's the independent woman. Like, yeah, that one. So if you are the independent woman, I want you to take 1 week and every day make the decision that you're gonna ask for support and help on something. Like that's your thing to do. And on the at the end of this 7 days, or every day that you're doing this, just journal. How did that feel inside of your body? Like,
Mhm.
how can you create safety into asking for help? And how can you create safety in the receiving help, right? For the sacrificer and the caretaker, let others take care of you. Take time to be lazy. Ooh, it's gonna trigger everyone. It's gonna trigger everyone.
Like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Why do I want to be lazy? Lazy is kind of like, I was talking to a friend on her podcast, and her podcast is called Lazy Bitches or something like that. And um and I was like, lazy, it means that like you do everything when, of course, there are times that you need to show up for yourself, for your family, for your business, whatever, and you go get it done. But being lazy is doing everything in pleasure, and like doing everything while resting and replenishing and making those a priority. And that's something that the sacrificer or the caretaker really, really needs to do. The yes girl, it's obvious. For 7 days, you're gonna say no. Just like
Mhm.
say no. No. Just, I'm gonna say no. And it's funny because like I gave this to a client, and she was to go, find a friend who would be doing this with her, and for half an hour she had to say no. Like, whatever the other person asked, she had to say no. And she felt like she wanted to explode, like how uncomfortable it was to say no. So that's your homework if you are the yes girl. And the I don't know girl, I know this is going to be a little bit more about coming back to ourselves, but I just want you to pause more in life. Really pause and say, why am I anxious to find the answer outside? Can I close my eyes to, kind of like take one of the senses out of the way and take a deep breath and come back to my body and get to that meditative space of like, and this can be like really like, it's funny. Uh, like some of us are like, when you're like, okay, so where do you want to eat? You're like, I don't know. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath. Thai sounds good. You would have an answer. And I'm saying like being the I don't know girl is kind of like it starts from really mundane small things to big things of like I don't know what career I want to be in. It's just it gets from the small things like what do you want to eat to the big decisions in life.
Yeah. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is it
Yeah.
is it is it so much like I don't know as I don't know I don't want to say?
Mm. That's that's I feel like that's a really interesting thing that you mentioned. It's kind of like it's a sub it's a sub list, or how do you say this even, subcategory of the I don't know girl. Mostly she just doesn't believe that she has the answer, or she
Okay.
doesn't believe in the answer.
Right.
But that has happened for so long that right now she doesn't even have the answer because she doesn't want to think about it. She just wants outside to get an answer because that feels safer. Because let's say like I haven't ever believed in who I wanted to be, and I've been told that being a doctor is the way to go. So I go follow it, and then I find myself being very, very resentful of what I'm doing. But yes, it's mostly about like not wanting to even believe that you have the answer, I believe.
What did unleashing your inner bad girl look like for you in your personal journey?
Such a great question. So for me, like coming from a society of, patriarchy is everywhere, women are oppressed everywhere. Um, but I felt like I couldn't even dress the way I wanted to dress. I couldn't be the human I wanted to be because it's mandatory when you're out and about. You have to have hijab. That's why I call like I normally I'm like from hijab to headmistress of turn on. It's kind of like um, our I don't know how to say it. So for me, it was first of all finding myself that like who do I want to be? Coming coming to US was a like huge decision of uh, taking on a whole new identity for me. And at that time, I was not into any of this work. I was mostly like I really wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I wanted to be working in Google and being a software developer and all of those things, which that is not true anymore. But for me, unleashing and kind of like bringing that bad girl out was um, how can I get out of the duality of too loud and not too, sorry, not too much, too much and not enough. So for me, it was embracing that I have a curvy body and I love my body and it's okay. Like, it's fine. I don't need the beach body. And, coming, you know, under hijab, it was easy to hide everything and like be like in this little bubble. But um, it makes me want to cry every time I talk about this. But coming to myself looked like embracing my laughter. I laugh very loud, like everyone can hear it. And I was always like, when I was with the group of friends sometimes and like in society, I was told that, like, don't laugh too much, or don't, you're laughing too loud, you're being too loud, or just like embracing that loudness was my way of creating safe space for that bad girl to come out, and embracing that I am a sexual human being, like I'm a sensual sexual human being, and my body is sacred and I love it. I used to hate my body to the T, and I feel like the first step was coming on from under the hijab, just like taking those layers of identity off and finding myself, and then embracing my too muchness, if that makes sense.
No, I love that, embracing your too muchness.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah, yeah. I think I in one of my Instagram posts, I even talk about the too much woman. Like, are you the too much woman? Like, you've been always told like you're too tall and too short and too small and too big, and
Yeah.
yeah, all of those things.
Again, like all the things that say we're not good enough and we'll never be good enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're too short and you're never gonna be good enough. You're
Exactly.
too
Like,
tall and you're never gonna
oh,
be good
yeah,
enough.
like, whatever. Like whatever.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
can do those things. Like that's just who I am.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you have a curvy body and that, um just like you get too much attention.
Yes.
Not my fault. Not my fault. It's
Well, I'm
patriarchy.
not
I
telling you
can't
a
have a
book.
body as a woman.
Yeah. Like no, like I oh my God, I've gotten that since I was I think I like because my chest came in when I was like 13. Like I grew boobs like and
Yeah.
I was, I was wearing real bras by the time I was in middle school.
Hmm.
And and I my mom would tell me all the time like no like you can't wear these things because then it's like you're just inviting people to look at you like that, like you're like you don't want to be too sexy, like all these things, like well I'm not telling, like I'm just trying to wear clothes first of
I just
all.
want to be me. I just want to be me. And me looks like I just want to wear this kind of clothes. Why
Like
don't you say that the boys need to, why don't we like address the locker talks? Why
yeah,
don't we locker room talks? Why don't we address like men like showing up in a different way when they are, when we are bringing them up as men in this society?
yeah, no, and like I grew up in the desert. It's like, can you imagine not being allowed to wear tank tops in the desert? Like, come on. Like come
Yeah,
on guys.
yeah, yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I mean, like being under, layers because of hijab,
Yeah,
and like wearing wearing that in when it was hot, when it was just like can't, I just can't. Like, although I don't have a conservative family, but it was the society, it was outside,
yeah,
like I couldn't be me.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
But so how do you apply your personal experience to your coaching and to your programs?
Great question.
Hmm.
So, my personal experience becoming, I feel like this becoming is like always, it's just like happening every day. And I learn every day about myself and how can I be more me. And how I bring that to my coaching is I hold everything that is brought to me. I mean, of course, as coaches, we are that's what we do. Everything that is brought to us, we hold it with tenderness. But I feel like um because I come from Iran, I have another perspective of how can I create a safe space for the duality of, you can be too much and still thrive. You can have those, voices come to you of, you're not enough if you have a curvy body, or you're not enough if your eyes are not green. Shit that I've heard is hilarious. And bringing that safety, like if you talk to all of my clients, they would tell you that like they felt safe the first second they saw me, and they could just like tell me everything in their lives. And that is like the most, um I feel like that's the most important thing to me. But at the same time, I have this drive and this like, because of the place I come from, I'm like, I will start a fire under your ass and you will be thriving while I'm holding you tenderly in all of these things, if that makes sense. So I
Yeah.
feel like my personal experience kind of like creates this like dynamic of, I'll hold you, I'll love you in everything, but I will not sit in your pity party with you. I will fire and fire. I would fire a fire, fire a fire. Is that a thing? I would start a fire under your ass. But yes, I feel like bringing all of that, drive and like, um, that, you know, Wonder Woman thing. Uh, no, just joking. But like bringing that outside and like looking into someone's eyes, like, I love you and I will hold you and everything. But if I could do that, you can too. Like,
Mhm.
looking into someone's eyes and saying that is just like, I feel like, because someone has done that for me, and I feel like it's so liberating to be like, oh my god, there's this human who has gone through all of this shit, and she says that she holds me in all of this, but she will not let me like fall off the map and just like be like, okay, peace out.
Yeah.
This is painful. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's perfect. And I think it's so valuable to be able to have that person kind of ground it for you,
Mm, yeah.
because like especially as like I mean as someone going through like this unlearning and this like deconditioning and all this sort of thing, it's like it's easy to get very overwhelmed because it's
Super.
not like because this is all thinking that isn't it's not conventional, and because there's a lot of you're still this is something I said this morning to someone where it's like, we're going through all this, and like and as much as it's liberating for us, like we're still coming up against a society that isn't there with us. We're
Mm-hmm.
still coming up against people who aren't at that level with us. And so it's like, it's good to have like the sort of support system there to be like, and not just to find community, but just to be like, no, like you're not crazy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're in this together. Like, that's what I kind of say in my community all the time. Like, we are in this together. Like, if we are making a huge wrecking ball dent into patriarchy, we are all in this together. And each of us, not just like claiming our power. That's
Yeah.
something I kind of like want to just like touch on a little bit here if we have time.
Yeah, no,
Okay, great. So like whenever like I hear empowering women, I'm like, that's great, but women don't need empowering. They have the power inside of them. I don't call myself an empowerment coach. Like, who am I to give you power? Like, you are powerful. I'm gonna help you like bring that power, uncover that power. Maybe I should call myself the uncover power coach. Uncover your power coach. Like, these things that we've been hearing a lot. Find your voice. My voice is here. I just need to bring it out. There's no finding. Or like things like this that we hear a lot, that like there is something outside that we need to get help from,
hmm
that instead of like going like, okay, so what would a bad girl in me do right now? What would the bad girl in me say right now? How would the bad girl in me feel right now? You know? Like, I I was writing like in my journal, and I was like, if the bad girl in me came out, she would punch my ex in the face with a chair, or she would ask for this from my parents. Like, like all the things that like we are like, oh wow, you're an asshole for wanting that. Like, or wanting to like small things like asking my parents for like help for money, or like, you know, asking a friend to, support me in something. Like those are like huge. Or like the words that we don't say because we're like, I'm very nice, so I don't want to say that. I want to invite you and your listeners to like bring it out. Like if there is something that is bothering you, like write it down. Like if the bad girl in me wanted to, if the bad girl in me came out, she would, or she feels, or she creates, like what would she do in
Mhm.
that situation? And like let it go. And sometimes something that I've like, I think read it also in Glennon Doyle's book, that like the the fucked up thing that patriarchy has done for us, I'm paraphrasing on all of that, but is that like has taught women to police themselves,
Mhm.
because that's the easiest way, right? We have all these entities of women that are like walking around, they are their own police, they're self-policing perfectly, and they are not being too much or not enough, and they are beating themselves up, they don't have the power that they want to have, and they are shrinking. Great, we're winning, you know. And I feel like when you let that part of you that wants to say, yeah, I truly want child support and I want my ex to take care of X, Y, and Z, or I want my parents to pay for whatever. Like I want what I want, and this is a safe space for me to write it down. It's just your pen and paper. Don't police yourself when you're sitting down to write these things down, and
Mhm.
go all out. Like, go all out. Nobody's gonna see it. It's in your journal. It's fine. Yeah, like, if we can, if, like, that's like one of my first steps to help women stop that self policing of, like, it's okay. Don't self-police, at least when you're journaling. Let it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, just like express your thoughts. Like it that we keep telling, like, I feel like we keep telling men that they need to do it, but like we women need to do it as well. Like just express your thoughts, express what you're thinking, express what you're feeling, because like if you're not, then you're not, like it's not doing any good.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like with women, it's mostly like we express in a way that is super accommodating for everyone, that is super like, we think on everyone's behalf,
Mhm.
then we bring out what we want or express what we desire. Like, how many times have you had like someone ask you, let me see how I want to say this. Like, what do you want for your birthday? Or what do you want me to do? Like, let's say my boyfriend asks me, like, what do you want for our anniversary? Like, I want you to take me to Hawaii and like wine and dine me, and I want 5 orgasms a day, and I want to like, if my bad girl wants to talk, she says that. But then I'm like, well, he's working this week, and he's probably gonna see his mom on Friday. Our
Yeah.
anniversary is on Saturday. I like some flowers. Like, we
Yeah.
accommodate. And then, like, even if that person does that, you're like, you don't even know what I want. And you get so resentful. Like, instead of saying, like, this is what I want, this is exactly what I want, this is the whole fucking meal, not like give me a little bit of like french fries, and then he goes and like he does that. I'm just like saying in a heterosexual relationship, I'm just like talking about myself right now, just giving an example, but like he goes and he does that and he comes back and I'm like, thank you. And it's kind of like I'm still resentful. I'm not sure if you've had this relation, this
No, for
situation
sure.
that, like, your partner comes back and they did what you want, or your friend or whatever,
They did
and
what you said.
yeah, exactly, and you're like, thank you, and then it's not like um you are like over the moon, holy shit, this is
Right.
exactly what I want, I have this whole fucking meal and we're gonna eat it and this is gonna be great. And this resentment comes up, and I've heard it from a lot of my friends and a lot of my clients, and it's like, I'm gonna take a deep breath. It's like this resentment of like, why did I not know what I want already? Well, honey, you haven't told them. I have all the compassion for you and myself. I do the same thing. Like, but I haven't told them what I actually want. I told them what I thought it would be easy for them to do.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you go through, like, I feel like women, we always try to be as diplomatic as possible. And
Mm,
so, like, so like what you were saying is like, you run through everything in your head, like, and you create the compromises before you even like talk about how to compromise. And so you end up, you can like, I say you, like we, like I do this all the time. Like,
all of us.
I convince myself that I'm okay settling.
Yes. Yes. So the other day I was hearing from my friend that was like, she was like, maybe, and this happens a lot in like heterosexual relationships that I've been seeing like around me, that like my friend was like, maybe that's it. Maybe I just have to be with an asshole that is sometimes okay. I'm like, no, that is not okay.
Right.
That is not okay. You can have what you want. And that asshole that you think like is an asshole to you because like he doesn't do what you want and da 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 is gonna be a prince, a king to another person. And like you're not letting yourself have the thing that you truly desire. So unfulfilled, resentful, and then we get this like sticker that like women nag a lot or whatever. And that is not true. Like, I'm not, also, I just want to embrace and just love on the fact that we're cyclical human beings and we just really, really need to honor that part of us. And because one day, I was telling to a friend the other day, I was like, one day I want to, love you and, create all the love in myself for you. And then another day, I just want to cut your throat. Like that, it is what it is. Just as a joke, but um, I feel like embracing all of this is super, super important, that like I can, and like those stickers God put on us in the wrong way. Like in the wrong way because like we have been put, like all these conditions are put on us because of patriarchy, because of the society, because of all of these industries that got created, to help to make women shrink more. You have to fit into this kind of clothes and you have to look this kind of way, and if you wear your hair this way, that's the way to go. And then, oh, you have a stretch mark and you have fat and you have cellulite. I mean, like, beauty industry just like blows my fucking mind away, that like they have created this industry that like, if women are, I feel like the other day I was reading something that like, if all women around the world were like, I am perfect the way I am, this industry would fucking crash in a day. It would crash in a day.
Yeah.
And that is so true. Like, and the bad girl is like embracing, I'm gonna embrace every little thing about myself. Me, myself, I have stretch marks on my belly, I have stretch marks on my ass and my legs, and I'm like, you're beautiful, I'm a fucking tigress, hello.
Yeah. Three stripes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Just like embracing all of these things, and is a kind of like a fuck you to patriarchy and all these like things that are putting us in this fucking small box that no woman, I'm just gonna be as bold to say no woman would fit into that box
Mm-hmm.
if we are our truest, most authentic self. We
Mm-hmm.
we just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, like and it's so true. It's like, I mean, again, like it's what we've been taught and what we've been conditioned to think is right and wrong. It's so interesting to think about it and to have these conversations now, I think is so valuable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very much. I feel like when we need to have more of these conversations. Like
Yeah.
we need to bring these into bigger tables. So thank you for doing this. I just want to
Yeah.
take the time to say thank you for doing this, for bringing these hard conversations out, because it's not easy to say like, yeah, it's fucked up. It's not even safe to some, like sometimes it's not safe to my nervous system that I'm like, yeah, patriarchy fucked me up. And
Hmm.
I'm like trying to create a space that like women can thrive instead of just exist. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you for coming and having this conversation with me because again, like I feel like it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to be able to be able to sit in yourself and have a conversation like this where it's like you're not just acknowledging, what's happening around you, but you're acknowledging like these things within yourself as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's okay. Just to close this out, how do people find you or contact you or get involved with one of your programs? Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Let's talk about the goodness. Um, so right now in May of 2021, as we are talking, I am offering one-on-one coaching, and I only have 7 spots left. Most of them are gone, and so this is like a 6 month container, and you will have me as your cheerleader, as the person who's going to help you decondition all of those layers. And we're going to kind of like talk about what does thriving mean in your life. And it's super delicious. You get access to me basically all the time, which is the highest access, obviously. And you can find me on Instagram. It's called The Pleasure Queen. So it's the.pleasure.queen. And you can come hang out in my Facebook group. It's called The Pleasure Community. And if you're a female identifying human, please come. Let's hang out. Let's talk. Let's bring more of these conversations out. And I'm like in the process of creating more programs um, for for everyone. And when that comes out, I will keep you guys posted. Still working on them. So they will come out around October, November. But
Okay. No, that's something to look forward to. I love it.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Well,
We
thank
need
you
more
so.
powerful women.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, definitely. I love all of this. Like this was so great. Thank you so much for coming on and having this talk. It was so like just enlightening and again like being able to sit in this space with you and talking through these things like as like because it's kind of an ongoing journey I think for everyone, and so
Yeah.
I love being able to sit in spaces like this and talk and yeah
Yeah.
and learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here. It was great to just like sit and have a casual conversation about like why we need more powerful women. And I think like as a powerful woman, you know that like it's like bringing these out and like talking about them freely is very important. And also I something wanted to also add, which I forgot about how to have access to me, is that I'm offering free calls right now. So in this free call, I would literally hold you in whatever is coming up, and I will ignite fire under your ass, and you will find what is the next step for you in life, into kind of like creating this thriving life for yourself. So thank you, thank you, thank you, Christy, for having me here. I really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
hopefully we will have more conversations.
Yeah, definitely. No, we'll definitely have to do a follow-up for sure.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Well,
exciting.
yeah, thank you so much. I know it's kind of getting into the evening for you, so I want you to I want to let you go so you can go and like enjoy the rest of your evening and relax a
Thank
little bit. And yeah,
thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it.
yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Ronak for joining me this week. As she mentioned, just the value of having conversations like this is so important, and I'm so grateful for all of you for joining me week after week as I go through this journey and I have these amazing conversations and I talk to people and I learn and I listen and yeah, so grateful for you. Thank you for another amazing week, and I can't wait to sit with you again next week. Cheers.